I don't know a lot about intention from a reading perspective. More, I've just kind of experienced it. Um, but what I've definitely gotten the impression of is basically the idea that intention essentially is kind of like setting a program for your brain, for your subconscious. So you basically give yourself a goal for whatever it is you're about to sit down to achieve. You want to be able to give yourself the right program and the right intention so that you can get the most out of that, because essentially you can't control your subconscious very well, but you can sort of nudge it. And I think intentions are a way of nudging it in a direction you want to go. Intentions are kind of like the purpose or the reason why you do something. And sometimes they're conscious, sometimes they're unconscious. I know when I first started out in advertising as a copywriter, I just wanted to come up with the best ideas and get those out in production and see them and make people smile or have an emotional, connection. And that's all I wanted. And so I kind of fought for those ideas, and I wasn't very mature. I was very defensive and didn't create great relationships. And as a result, I didn't do well. I got a couple things out there that were successful, but for the most part, I didn't do well inside the company because my intentions were all about me and all about my ideas. Later, I was able to realize that I wasn't being very successful with those as my driving motivations, I guess you might say. And so I consciously remember changing my intention to really being more about having good relationships and being able to, at the time it was selfish, I want to make sure I wouldn't, I'd be able to have another job if something didn't work out at the first job. But it was really just about building bridges and having good relationships and having a good working relationship with everybody I worked with. And so that change really, just that intention really changed how I operated. Whenever there was something that I felt like I was getting defensive, I would calm down and I would recognize that it wasn't worth the jeopardizing the relationship just for this idea. So what that intention did was it really helped me understand what was important, or what were the values or criteria for which I acted upon. In the past I cared about my ideas, and so everything else fell away, and it was my idea at all costs. Once it became relationships, it was like there was a balance there, and it was like, wait, this isn't worth this. And the value judgment occurred, and I changed behaviors based on that. And I think that's the same thing that intention really does. It's like it gives you context, it gives you criteria, and it kind of helps you steer your behavior, not necessarily consciously. Once you've made the intention, it starts to become something that your unconscious starts to drive for you. The intention or mindset I want to impart for beginning this process, and honestly for the rest of your life, is what's called the beginner's mind. And this is an Eastern philosophy reference, the idea of always starting fresh. There's a story of a professor who came to visit a Zen master to talk about Zen, but the professor talked more than he listened. And eventually the Zen master just started to pour some tea into the cup and just never stopped pouring, and the tea just spilled all over the cup. And the professor finally realized what was happening. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, like this cup, it's already full. I can't give you any more information. Your mind is full. You need to be able to empty your cup and start from scratch so I can impart new lessons for you. So it's that idea of resetting the mind, the mindset that you're always beginning, you're always starting over, you're always trying to forget what you already know so you can have the opportunity to continue to learn. The idea of the beginner's mind is that opportunity to continually learn again. You might have heard some of the videos I've said, some of the things I've said on these videos, you might have heard them before, but hopefully you're able to listen to them again with a new perspective, because you're a different person. You have more experiences that you can relate to, and the depths of what can be taught, you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper. Things like rhythm, you can teach a 4-year-old ta ta tiki ta, or you can be a master that's been studying it for 50 years and still hear something new and get something new out of rhythm, because it has that depth. And so you want to be able to stay open with the beginner's mind, to be able to be open to learning those things. So every single day you want to start over with a beginner's mind. One of my favorite stories is with a beginner's mind is the idea of wearing the white belt. I got this from Zen Guitar, great book. And it talked about the idea that, some martial arts, when you're learning martial arts, you get a white belt, which means you're a beginner. And over time you get new colors like green and brown and eventually to black belt. according to the book, the idea is that some people just wear the white belt, and over time it becomes black of its own accord. Because every day that you put on the white belt and you practice, you are eventually going to get that thing dirty because you've been using it so much. And so the idea of the black belt's really all about the hard work that you put in and beginning new every time. It's always a white belt, no matter what color it looks. It's always a white belt. And in fact, you go even deeper, eventually the black turns white because it starts to fray. So it's a super cool idea about how to become a master by just putting in the time. So beyond the beginner's mind as a mindset, I also encourage you to come up with your own intentions whenever you begin something. Just to share with you what I do right now for piano, I just came up with this a few days ago, and I know I've learned it over time, but I've consciously come up to the idea of having an intention when I start to play the piano every day, which is to listen, to love, and to learn. And the idea is to hear what I'm playing, to always appreciate it, and to recognize there's an opportunity to learn. No matter what I end up sounding like, there's an opportunity to learn.